with the topic of managing your career in data science across cultures in the global business world. Today we have a speaker, a renowned speaker of Dr. Mary Rosic, that serves as the Chief Data Officer, VP, Head of Data Science, AI Lab, Visa Consulting Analytics, Asia Pacific. And acting as a moderator will be Dr. Jerry Haikal, University Berkeley faculty member. Before we go into this session, we'd like to have a message first. Hopefully, Mbak Nia, would you please put up the screen on that image?
Sudah kelihatan, Pak?
Sudah.
Okay.
Right. So, the topic of data science is very important. And University Berkeley has already got a cooperation with the Central Christian University, and in which we have a dual degree program for the MBA program that will have one of the elective is in data science. Specifically, we have a core subject in the data science for data analytics for finance. And we still have for those of you that are interested, we're gonna have the intake. The next intake will be in the July 2020. So please contact us for those people that are interested in joining and learning more about this program. Thank you very much. And I think this time around, we're going to have a welcoming speech from our rector, Mrs. Bakri, Professor Sofia Alisabana. Please, Boo.
Good afternoon, everybody. Dear Dr. Mary Rosic, and also ladies and gentlemen. I'm very pleased to be here today for the opening of today's webinar that is part of the Business Leaders Talk series with the topic on how one can manage one's career in data science across cultures in a global business world. As we all know, now the phrase of Industrial 4.0, originally coined at Hanover Fair in 2011, has started to enter everyone's vocabulary. Research conducted by Saucedo and others in 2017 established that one of the building blocks of Industry 4.0 of the form of big data and analytics. It is one of the professions that is identical with the futures, even though it is already here at present. Thus, I believe if we aspire for the future, it is imperative for each of us, especially for the Berkeley students, to investigate deeper into this field. For those seeking for a better career in it, we have been very fortunate to have Dr. Mary Rosic. She herself has established her position as one of the world's renowned data scientists, among other things, who is willing to share her experience in navigating this fascinating profession while crisscrossing through many different cultures as truly. She has become a global citizen ever since. She has been leading a team of high-performing data scientists, analysts, and statisticians, driving a data-driven approach to visa client consulting engagement. Thus, we would like to convey our gratitude to Dr. Rossi for the occasion, and naturally, it is my hope that her relationship with Universitas Berkeley would be long-lasting into the future, as it seems we both share the same passion, that is to create inclusive leaders of the future to make a better world for the future generation of humankind and for our planet. Since Universitas Berkeley currently is preparing several initiatives in this field as well. So thank you again, everyone, for attending this webinar, and let's have a warm welcome to our speaker. Thank you very much. Enjoy the webinar.
Thank you very much, Ibu Sophie, for this welcoming speech. Now we're going to have the moderator, Dr. Jerry Haikal, that serves as our faculty member at the Universitas Berkeley. He himself is a former director of multinational company in marketing research and also from the payment gateway industry. So, Pak Jerry, without further ado, please, you can take over this session then.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Arif. So, hi everyone. I hope you all safe and healthy during this pandemic condition. So let me welcome you to our series of webinar of the Business Leaders Talk, managing your career in data science across cultures in a global business world. So the background of this webinar is that in the recent year, the business pays more and more attention toward the data science to minimize the risks in decision-making process. And many companies in the world is now seeking for people that having the expertise to handle the data, managing the process, and developing predictive model using machine learning, and explore the insights and develop artificial intelligence to turn those models into action. So how will our students start our career in data science, and how will one will grow their professional maturity in the context of the global business world involving many people having many different cultures. So that is what we are going to discuss today with Dr. Mary Rosic. Our Mary Rosic today, Dr. Mary, our speaker today, Dr. Mary is a global business leader in data science that is here to share her own experience in dealing with those questions. So as usual, during the webinar, if any question, please feel free to write your question on the chat window, and you can ask directly to Mary after the presentation. But before we start, let's get to know Mary. So I share you the screen. Nothing on it. So Mary is Dr. Mary Rosic is a Chief Data Officer and Head of Data Science, Artificial Intelligence Lab in Visa Consulting and Analytics Asia Pacific, based in Singapore. Mary leads a team of high-performing data scientists, analysts, and statisticians, and she drives a data-driven approach to Visa clients' consulting engagement. Prior to Visa, Mary was Chief Information Officer, Business Intelligence and Digital Transformation at Oak Lawn Marketing, NTT Docomo in Tokyo, Japan. Mary holds a Master of Arts and PhD in Technology Innovation from the University of Barcelona. And she also had an MBA from London Business School and PhD also in virtual reality technology with the European Mention Award, a certificate, and a certificate in System Dynamics from MIT Sloan School of Management. She also, so she has 2 master degree and 2 PhD degrees. So she also executive MBA lecturer of leading big data innovation strategy for the Globis University Graduate School of Management. And she also adjunct professor of global management for Temple University, Japan, for the executive MBA program. So with no further ado, let's welcome Mary to the webinar. Mary, thank you so much for coming to University Bakri. Magister Management program and information system information system. So the stage is yours. So let me share you my screen. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Professor Jerry. Can you guys hear me well and see me? Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you, Mary.
Thank you very much. So while the presentation loads, first of all, thank you very much for your kind invitation to speak to your students. It's an honor to be in the #1 MBA in Indonesia. I am a super fan of all the innovation that is happening in Indonesia, and I'd like to share that a few years ago I was lucky to give a workshop at Telkom Asia Innovation Center. And it was a fantastic experience meeting so many incredible startups and innovators. I look forward to getting to know many of you, and please reach out via LinkedIn to connect. I'm always very happy to hear about your ideas. And thank you so much, Jerry, for inviting me to talk to your students. It's an honor, and it was a pleasure that we had the opportunity to work together in a previous life.
Yes.
I'm really glad that we can reconnect and stay in touch. So
Yes. Thank you very much.
I have prepared for you today. So Jerry, since you are presenting the slides, I hope that you can just click for me.
Yep.
So thank you so much. So I'm going to talk to you today over the next 30 minutes, and then we'll have time for questions after, about three key things. One is, why is data important? The second one is, what had the highest impact in my career? And then the third is, if I had to start all over again, what is it that I wish I knew? What is it that I think you should consider if you want to do cool things that matter in the future? So we'll start with the business transformation and data. So we all heard that data is the new oil, but I'd like to say that data is not the new oil. We've heard a lot about data is the new oil, and it's true in many ways. But what it really is, it's not a scarce resource. It's not a resource that changes pricing. It doesn't perform in the same way, right? But what it is, it's a driver of growth. But data is doing what oil did 100 years ago. So data is really performing like oil, but we need to think of data in different terms. So if you go to the next one, data platform companies lead growth. So on one side, you have 2006, all the oil companies have the highest market capitalizations. And in 2016, it was the technology companies, but not just technology companies, it was the platform technology companies that were leading the market capitalization. Next. The growth is fueled by not just one technology, not just one data. It's the industry 4.0 technologies, which is different set of technologies. It's machines talking to machines. It's the security that connects those machines. Is augmenting lots of different solutions that help. And we call all of these a combination. It's called Industry 4.0. Next. And we know that IBM started, they said that 90% of the world data was created in the past 2 years. And when we look at what data really is today, well, this was 2 years ago, but now it's even higher. Netflix was 15% and YouTube was 12%. I think I heard last time that Netflix is about 50% these days, and YouTube is getting closer. So there's a lot of data that's being created and consumed. Next. The global data sphere, it's forecasted to continue to grow. And when you look at the magnitude of the zettabytes, a zettabyte is 1 trillion gigabytes. So if you think that a byte is like a grain of rice, a zettabyte would be pretty much like the planet Earth covered in rice. So it's a tremendous amount of data that is expected to continue to grow. And next, what can we do with all this data? So what's happening with this data? Yeah, business data is growing. So is the sound okay?
Yep.
Good. So business data is growing, and sensor data is also growing, but what is really growing is human data. So it's the Google Maps that tracks every of your movements when you go across your city. It's every single picture that you take. It's all the human information that's growing very, very fast. Next. So what we do with all this data? This data is valuable, not because accumulating more data you get more value. No, it's not like money. It's not like gold. It's not like oil. Data is valuable only when we extract value, only when we extract meaning, when we extract insights. So what's important is that we try to build modeling techniques that we use new data science to predict what is going to happen and how can we then influence it. And this can be used for lots of different reasons. Next. So we're going to see some examples. Now, data science today is a multidisciplinary area, and it's not just data scientists. In every team, we need a mix of different backgrounds because the problems that we are trying to solve are more complicated than ever. They are very difficult problems. It's not just looking at trends or statistically significant responses. No, we are trying to solve problems that are very, very, very complicated. What is the impact of COVID in small business? How is a virus likely to spread in certain regions? What kind of industries are going to recover faster? So these are questions that are very complicated, and we can not only use one type of data or one type of technique to solve these problems. We need a multidisciplinary team. An example of why collaboration is important is that the Nobel Awards are usually given not to one single person, but to a team. So the last Nobel in economics was given to 2 people. I think many of the medicine, physics, chemistry awards are all given to teams of people that work together solving complicated problems. So next. Some of the things that are important for any company to succeed, for a company, for a government, for a startup. First, when we work with data, we need to have a very strong mission and focus on governance, what's ethical and what's not ethical. We need to have the infrastructure to manage this data. And then we need the people, the talent, the experts, people who are going to be able to use the data science techniques to extract value. And then we also need the knowledge to deploy these models, because we can have the best answer in the world, but if we don't put it in production, if we don't deploy it, then it doesn't matter that we found the right answer. We just never get it to the world. Next. So imagine all that's possible with behavioral biometrics. Phones that can recognize our faces, our, most personal, recognizable facts, whether it's our voice, our eyes, any other, lots of different transactions can become seamless and secure. Next. We can go shopping, take pictures of things, have that delivered directly to our homes. So it's we can think of lots of different solutions for problems that we have in our societies today. Next. On one side, you can see how traffic is measured statistically in many cities. This picture, I believe it's from Vietnam or Cambodia, but I've also seen this in Japan. It's very common, having people counting with manual counters the different types of vehicles in a road. But if you use machine learning recognition systems, we can count how many people are inside of the car, what type of car, how old is the car, what is the speed, what is the likely consumption based on the type of car and the speed, what is the consumption and the spend. There's so many more things that we can extract from having that information. Next. And the ability to access data and how good is it for innovation. It's, for example, why Toyota invested $1 billion in Grab, because they want to understand not just what the car is doing, because every new car has more than 500 sensors. They also want to understand what is the driver trying to do, what do they want to go, at what speed are they going, what is it that they need and they feel. Next. So data is enabling lots of new solutions, but it's also disrupting. These are examples from Japan, from manufacturing that is now being done with robots, transportation with self-driving cars and buses, healthcare with automated systems that allow patients to use telemedicine, or financial services which is all the digital banking revolution. Next, all industries are being automated and disrupted. And disruption can come very quickly. This is an example before 2008, and the other picture is after 2016. This is the USB trading floor in Stamford, Connecticut, in the USA. All these traders were replaced by high-speed algorithmic systems. And in just a few years, of course, they had impact from the financial crisis, but their jobs disappeared. They had to just retrain, learn something else, move to a different career, because that type of job effectively disappeared. Next. But it's about adapting, not about losing jobs. So some of the things that data is enabling is artificial intelligence at scale. So it's really looking at things that can be done to solve new problems. For example, grab an NUS, they launch an AI lab. Lots of companies are doing AI research. And this is something which is very exciting. Next. So I also wanted to talk to you about the challenges of data, because when we work with data, sometimes there are things that can be done that should not be done. This is an example of Cambridge Analytica, that they took the voting ballots of people who had already voted in the US elections, and they targeted those who had not yet voted. They target them through Facebook with news that were not true, trying to get them to vote more radical, more in the extreme cases, with news that were completely invented. So this is manipulation, and Facebook was fined several $1 billion for that, for enabling that. If you look at the Netflix documentary, The Great Hack, it's a fantastic documentary that explains what's possible with data. And there are lots of cases where even with the best intentions, like the fitness tracking system, the Strava watch, people going for a run, exercising, they, of course, sometimes they share those runs with their friends. And then Strava anonymizes all that data, aggregates it, and then they create the Strava world maps, which is just supposed to be a cute, very nice way of looking at a world map with lots of running, colorful lines. But they didn't realize that they were also giving away secret locations of US Army bases in the Middle East. So this was an unintended consequence of the use of data. Next. So when we work with data, we need to recognize that there's a crisis of trust. This is a fantastic article by a Harvard Business Review that you can check out. Any data scientist needs to have very high ethical standards. Next. Because technology, it's like everything. It can be used for good or for bad. So having strong ethical standards is very, very important, especially at a time where there's a lot of cybersecurity issues. And every year, there's millions and millions of personal records that are compromised. So in 2018, there was a double of the compromised records every day, every single day. This is personal data exposed, which is incredibly, incredibly risky. Next. So when we work with data, we need to have a 300 multi-layer approach to having an ethical, data-driven organizational culture. And that goes for everything, at personal level, at organizational level, in schools, everywhere. We need to always have a very strong focus on cybersecurity and ethics and privacy. Next. So the secret to success is to educate leaders and stakeholders on the value of data. Because when the CEO, when the top leaders understand how valuable it is to have data in real time, then they are ready to invest in it. Then we need to understand also that we don't have all the answers. So we need to always look for industry experts and to understand how are others driving innovation so we can collaborate. because the future of data, it's about collaboration. So collaboration is a very, very, very important piece of success. So we need to always look at partners to develop and co-create new solutions. Okay, next. So with that, I wanted to take you through my personal career, and I wanted to share what had the highest impact in my career. Next. So I'll share with you 4 keywords. And the first keyword is curiosity. Next. So I have a passion for continuous learning, and I've done a lot of things because I was so curious about learning. For me, learning was really the way to continue to grow and to continue to develop. So I think I probably studied actually too much. So when Dr. Jerry read all my education titles, I was feeling a little bit shy. So at some point, I was going to learn something else about data governance, and I thought, you know what, maybe it's time that I start teaching, because by teaching, I need to do enough research that I can then explain it. So I started teaching 5 years ago 2 MBAs in Japan, because I was then living in Japan. And I realized that it was a fantastic experience, because you really need to learn everything before you can start and teach it to others. So now when I want to learn something, I create a course, and I talk to some universities and say, hey, would you be interested in, a seminar or a workshop or an MBA elective about data strategy or about governance or about ethics of data? And these are things that I enjoy very much doing, because they allow me to learn more and to continue to give also more. Next. The second one is experiences. And I like this picture, which I don't know if you can read it clearly, but it says, I'd rather have a passport full of stamps than a house full of stuff. And I have lived in so many houses. I've been very lucky to have international opportunities. And sometimes you don't know how these opportunities come. But I think when you open up to the possibility, then things start to happen. So a friend of mine once told me, I'm originally from Barcelona in Spain, and I started my career there. And once a friend told me, oh, I love to work in New York. And I thought, work in New York, this has to be the craziest thing I've heard in my life. It must be so difficult to try and find a job in New York. How do you even do that? But then a few months later, I was talking to a friend of mine, and I told him, this friend wants to work in New York. I think that would be so amazing. And guess what? 2 years later, he sold his company to a company in New York. And he said, Mary, I need somebody who knows technology, who can speak English. Can you go to New York? And I thought, wow, it happened in such an unexpected way. And it was then in New York that I realized that there was this thing called MBAs. And all these people who, they usually come from very privileged backgrounds, for them, it was completely natural to finish university. They go for MBA, and it was something, and I have never heard of MBAs. I come from a very humble background, and I thought, wow, why not? Let's try. So I had the opportunity to join London Business School because then my then boyfriend and now husband, he was moving to London. And because I went to New York, he actually thought, oh, then I can go to London. And I wanted to get together and get married. So I thought, okay, London Business School. So I applied, and I had no idea how much it cost. So I went in, and I'll tell you later the story of how I got in, because it's a really funny story. But after graduating, I had the opportunity to work for American Express. Because I was looking at good companies that treated people well, and that was important to me. Most of my friends went to Lehman Brothers, and the company disappeared, and now they had to, delete it from their curriculums. But I was proud to work for a good company, and I always give people this advice: work for a company that treats people well, and you will feel proud about it. And after that, we had opportunities to move to Asia, also looking for growth and looking for a wonderful life that we've had in Asia for the past 15 years. And We lived in Singapore, in Hong Kong, and in Japan, in Tokyo, and now back in Singapore. So I think if you have the opportunity to work or live globally, I think it's wonderful. Next. The next one is mindfulness, which I love to do more. I don't do enough. Next. But I've always tried to live in the moment and be present. So in the center, these are my children. We love to dress up as Star Wars family, and I'm always Leia. We do that every time they launch a new movie. So we've been doing that for a very long time. And we have, the last one was last Christmas, and we happened to be in Finland. So we went to this little cinema and we dressed in the latest. And of course, my kids are, not a Padawan and Princess Amidala. They are now Rey and one of the soldiers, because they've grown up. They also grow up their characters. So and the cinema in Finland, they congratulated us and they gave us some posters from the movie, because they were very happy to see people in costumes in the opening. So I think it was, being present, it's important. And there's time in life to do everything that you want. You just need to plan for it. Next. So the next one is giving back. Next. And I believe that you make a life, but what you give. So when I have the opportunity, I always try to give back, whether it's, my schools. I'm part of the United Nations Association. I created female founders to help women, and then I support entrepreneurs as much as I can, and I try to connect and engage and give back, which I think is very important. Next. And then the last one is how to do cool things that matter. And for this, I have a top 10. So I will take you very quickly, and Jeffrey, you can just click them a little bit faster.
Okay.
Next, this is the top 10, how to do cool things that matter. And this is inspired by how Google talks about this, but it has served me well in my life. So the first one is number one, forget about finding your mission. Everybody tells you, find your mission in life, find your passion. Forget it. You can only, when you get to 50, I'm going to be 50 years old next year. Now I can look back and I can say, oh, I can say what was my passion. My passion was always about innovation. But when I was 16, 19, 20, if somebody asked me, what is your mission in life? I had no idea. And it's okay, because what you need to do is test, try. Don't wait to have a big mission. It's okay. Just start moving, start testing. Number two, think big, but start very small. Sometimes we have an idea which is amazing, and but we are waiting for everything to be perfect. Maybe we need funding, maybe we need a team, maybe we need lots of things, and we are waiting, and it never happens. Just try. Maybe you want to, dedicate your life to motorcycles. Fantastic. Just try, have one first, try to repair one, try to, to work with one. And if you really love it, then maybe you want to open a factory or, or a club or something. Fantastic, but try first. Next. The second one is ideas can come from anywhere. And this is me when I launched my startup in 2011. I had my kids in Hong Kong and Singapore. They were babies, and my family was in Europe, and I wanted them to eat together, to read books, to do things. So I decided to leave the corporate world and launch apps. So these were video calling apps to read books together, to play, to eat together, to do lots of family activities at home. And you don't have to tell me this would be perfect for COVID. I know. But the problem is that as much as it's a wonderful idea and it worked very well for a couple of years, it's very difficult to make money out of gaming apps, as you all know. So I learned a lot, and I thought that, and I got awards, and it was a fantastic experience. Went to San Francisco. It was awesome. But this was really for me like a fantastic master's degree, because it transformed me into a whole new different industry. And after that, I joined Samsung, I joined other companies. It was really, really exciting. Next. the next one is be open and show what you stand for. And I have this mug from London Business School on my desk. And Jerry, you've probably seen this. And I have this picture. Yeah. Before I had it in my office, but now it's open plan, so we don't have offices. But when I was doing my MBA, a professor told me, yes, you know, it's really good that you're doing an MBA, but in a few years you will forget everything. And I said, what? No, I don't want to forget everything because I worked so hard doing my MBA, like all of you, right? And he said, no, but it's not about what you learn today, because what matters is that you make it clear what you stand for. So you should always have a mug or a picture or a sign that says, I am part of this school, I am part of this network, I am, this quality, I am of this quality. He said, always have a mug that says London Business School on your desk, because this is you saying, I deserve what I have. And I thought, this is a crazy idea, but why not? If he says this works, I'm going to try it. So I've always had the picture with me in my office and a mug with pens inside from my school. And I recommend that you all do the same, because it's important to show what you stand for. And if you believe that you deserve a strong career, you will get it. But if you don't think you deserve it, then nobody's going to trust you with more responsibility. Okay. Next, 5 is focus on the user, and all the else will follow. So this is data. And when we look at dashboards and data and statistics, Jerry, remember this from previous life? So yeah. How many dashboards we have done, right? But we first need to remember to focus on the user. So who is going to use this? How are they going to use it? Are they going to use a Tableau dashboard? Maybe not. Maybe all they want to know whether it's red or it's green. Is it good or is it bad? And maybe they don't even need to know. So we need to always understand and have a focus on the user. That goes for data and goes for usability, for products, for services, and for everything else. It doesn't matter how flashy and how cool it looks. If nobody uses it, it's not worth it. Next. Number 6 is start with imagination, but fuel with data. So always be very close to new ideas. So this is me volunteering for lots of startup events, panels, conferences, startup weekends. And yeah, sometimes it takes one full Saturday out of my schedule, or it takes a lot of time and effort and energy to volunteer for lots of things. But I learned so much that it's really, really valuable to me to help. So it's important that you always try to help as much as you can with your time, with your knowledge, because that is valuable for others, but also for you. It keeps you growing. So if you have an idea, maybe you can imagine that idea, but then you need to test it. And that is the experience of the startup weekends, right? When people really develop something, but then they have to prove it. Next. Number 7 is iterate, test fast. So start, but then keep it moving, keep it changing. You need to keep evolving. If you are not growing, learning, changing, you are stuck. So look at the first Google or the first Yahoo, the first YouTube, the first LinkedIn or the first Netflix. Very different, right? So they have evolved very quickly. They keep changing, they keep moving. You have to do the same. Next. Number 8 is never fail to fail. So I wanted to tell you the story of when I joined London Business School, they asked me to do the GMAT test. And the GMAT test is this terrible test that you have to do to join some schools. It's math and English, and it's not designed for, if you are not a native English speaker American, it's incredibly difficult, right? So I took it 4 times in the end. And I realized that it was the first year that it was from paper exam. Until 1999, it was a paper exam. And then they digitalize it in an adaptive test. If you fail one question, then the next question is easier. If you get it right, then the next question is more difficult. So it keeps adapting which means that if you fail the first question, you can never get a full grade because you never get back on track, right? So I realized that the way that it was constructed, it was very unfair because I was not a native English speaker. My English was actually quite bad at the time. And I thought, well, if I'm measured first by my country sample, you know, I have better chances of, if I am in Barcelona, maybe I should take it first in Barcelona and then deconstruct it in a way that that I can get the maximum points. So I took it first in New York, where I was living there, and my score was really bad. And then I went to visit my then boyfriend in London. I took it again there, and it was still a little bit better. And I had done all these courses and read all these books, and I studied very hard, and it was just a little bit better. And I thought, wow, this is super hard. And but I thought, if people do it, then I can do it. Not because I'm smarter than anybody else. I'm not smarter. In fact, I'm dyslexic, so it's harder for me. But I thought I will beat this because I'm sure that it can be done. So I will do it. And I went to Barcelona and I did it one more time. And then I sent a letter to the school and I said, this is everything that I have done. These are the reasons why. I think this is why the test is wrong. And I did all these things and now I deconstructed it. And then on top of that, I created a website explaining all the tricks so people could actually learn and improve. And then the school sent me a letter and said, we're going to let you in, even if you have the lowest score ever in the history of the school. But we know that this is just a measure of how people will do in life. And they said, and we know that you're going to do fine. So that's I think it's a great story because it proves that even in the most strict places, what we are looking is attitude. And attitude is the most important thing, right?
Yeah.
So the next one is number 9. I think I'm very close to finishing now. This is a letter about famous people who talk about what they wish they knew when they were 16. So I think the most important thing I can tell you is what I wish I knew is don't worry about what anybody thinks. Worry only about what you will think in the future. And I think that's very, very important. We always worry about what our peers or bosses or what our mother-in-law will think. Well, the only thing that, if they love you, they will only want to see you do better. So don't worry about what anybody thinks. Worry about what you will think in the future. So, I worked for a company that was very tough with employees, and I didn't like it. I think that was not fair, and I left. I left because I thought I don't want to be endorsing this company. I don't think they are good. And years later, I'm very proud of that decision because I'm entitled to making mistakes. I was 9 months in this company. It was not the right culture for me. It was a Korean company, very, very tough. And it's okay to make mistakes. It's fine. But I wish I knew before that I didn't have to wait 9 months. I could have just realized that in 3 weeks. And the last one is build your tribe. It's true that we are the average of the 5 people that we spend most time with. So I can tell you that, this is my son, and I took my son to, we had an alumni reunion at London Business School. And at some point I sit down with him and he said, oh, Mom, I know what you're going to say, that when I grow up, you want me to study here. And I said, no, you have no chance of studying here, sorry, because this is now so incredibly exclusive and so incredibly expensive that I hope that you are as lucky as I was, because I got a grant from the British Council to study there. So I got really, really lucky to be accepted, and I got really, really lucky to get a grant to be able to go in. And my son was, wow, you don't want me? And I said, yes, of course I want you to go here. But what I really want you is to understand that that this is hard. So if you want it, you really have to work hard. So build your tribe. During COVID, I can tell you that my tribe has been my closest friends, who are also mothers, also work, and some of them are personal trainers. So I've been exercising more than ever in my life, and I am healthier than ever. And it's important to really spend time with the people that you really want to be like. Because if I spend time only with my friends who eat all the time, then I will not be very fit. But if I spend time with my friends who are exercising and learning and studying, then that will probably change my life. So I think that's all I had for you guys. And I hope that that we didn't go over time and we still have time for questions.
Okay. Thank you, Mary. So we have a very aspiring share from Mary. So we still have time for several questions. I see that there is so many questions here on the chat board. So there is yeah. So we have a lot of questions for you, Mary. So let's start it from who's here? Ibu Siti Rohajawati. Bu Siti, are you there? Bu Siti?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Yes. Please, can you ask directly to Mary?
Oh my God. You said that I only write on the chatbot, but it's okay. Thank you. Hello, Dr. Mary. How are you today?
Hello, thank you. Nice to meet you.
Okay. Dr. Mary, I just want a question. How to build the big data system in Indonesia? Because we have a lot of problems, such as infrastructure, such as we need a lot of human resources, and such as we need a policy to give a secure of data system. So what do you think about that? Thank you.
So Indonesia has a lot of talent, and talent is one of the most important things when you look at the components to succeed with big data. Of course, you need to build the infrastructure, but infrastructure can also be leapfrog into the future. So a lot of companies made investments 10 years ago that now need to be refreshed and continuously upgraded. For anyone that starts from scratch, today the infrastructure for big data, it's fantastic and very cheap. The cloud infrastructure, most companies have access to scalable servers, very, very cheap and secure systems. Lots of big companies have very good cloud infrastructure, servers and systems based in Indonesia. And I think there's no excuse anymore for a company to have a data strategy. I think for any organization, it's really having the human capital and having the technical teams that can really operate and really make sense of the data, and then having the infrastructure and the knowledge. And I believe that Indonesia has everything that it needs.
Thank you, Mary. Okay. Thank you, Mary, Buwati. And then next is from Pak Satria Ismail. Pak Satria, are you there? Pak Satria? Okay, so Pak Satria my question is, how about your vision about data scientists for the next 3 or 5 years, Mary? As far as we know, it was like monster and changed everyone's mind just in 1 decade. For example, RPA, robot process automation, artificial intelligence, and this is from Satria, alumni from University of Bakri. So what is the data science going to be in about 3 to 5 years? What is going to happen, Mary? Mary, you are still mute. Please unmute, Mary.
Thank you. The science will continue to evolve. So the most important skill for any data scientist is to have a strong foundation. You obviously need to have a strong foundation on math, statistics, coding. There are some elements that are foundational, but then you need to continue to learn every day. So anyone who says, oh, I have my certificate, I'm done, now I'm going to get good jobs the rest of my life, it's wrong. We need to continue to learn, because data science all the data infrastructure, artificial intelligence, machine learning, it continues to change very, very quickly. And we need to get up to speed with it. We are looking towards more open source, more open systems. And that means that there's a very large community of shared knowledge that everybody has access to. Data science is one of the few areas that has democratized the access to knowledge. So you can play with large data sets with Kaggle, for example. You can do datathons, hackathons. Anyone from anywhere in the world has access to free learning resources and systems. And this was impossible just 10 years ago. Just imagine. And so when everything is available for free to everyone in the data science community, now what matters is the attitude, is continuing to learn. It's having this strength to continue to challenge the status quo and continuing to learn. So I encourage everyone to focus on education as a journey, not as a destination. Once you get your title, your degree, your certificate, your master's, it's not finished. This is where it starts. And I always say it's a little bit like having babies. You go through the pregnancy and 9 months, it's growing in your belly. And you think it's over. No, that is when it starts, when the baby comes out. So this is where you continue to learn.
Okay, good. Thank you, Mary. So next is from Nidia Erlinda. So you are very amazing and explain a lot of interesting things, Dr. Mary. And my question is, I want to start learning data science. What if I want to start learning? What must I learn first? Can you tell the path of learning data science?
I think you need to have a passion for math and coding. So you can go into data science from different angles. You can go from a pure technical. In any technical degree or background, you have a foundation of statistics and math, and I'm sure that in your degree you also have that. Or you can come from the business side, maybe from banking, from fraud, from risk, from any subject matter expertise that deals with that, and then understanding the business logic. Because even if you understand the data science is pulling queries, is using scientific methods to ask questions to the data. But you still need to know, what questions do I need to ask? How can I compare the right data sets to extract knowledge that can be then used for business decisions? So you need to have that subject matter expertise, that business knowledge. And so you can go into data science from many different angles. You can also go from leadership. You can lead data science teams, or you can be in strategy. So you need to find your angle, because studying something which is boring, it's probably not going to take you very far. Find what is your best angle into this area of growth. For me, it's always been innovation and developing and launching products that are based on technology, on data, on different data-driven. So my angle is the strategy and the innovation side. Find your angle, and then you will learn. But for questions that when people ask me, so what language should I learn? Well, probably Spark, Python are very good ways to start if you want to go into data science.
Yep. So last night we have a class for neural network, and then the student asked, should we use R or Python? So yep. So we learn a lot using those tools, those language. So we have already three questions, and it is a time. Let's see, what time is it now? It is 3 o'clock sharp now. So we have learned that from Mary that to become a data scientist, it is not coming overnight. So yep, we need to practice and knowing where to start. And I hope all the students that coming to these webinars and rekan sejawat yang lain can also feel the excitement of learning data science and prepare to be a global leader in data science like Mary did, Dr. Mary did. Dr. Mary, thank you very much for the deep dive discussion into data science today. So, Pak Arif, I hand it over to you, Pak. Thank you, Mary. And Pak Arif, monggo Pak Arif.
Okay, thank you, Mary, for this for the speech. And I think this time around, before we conclude this session, you will first of all we apologize. Not every question could be asked because there's a time limitation from Mary. And would you please Mbak Nia to take over to have a photo session first?
All right. So we have reached the end of the webinar, but before we close this session officially, I would love to invite everyone in this Zoom room to turn on your camera and then wave your hand to the camera and don't forget to smile. But since we have around 100 participants here, so I will capture the screen for about 6 times. So yeah, be ready guys, are you ready all? Okay. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. Again, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Again, 1, 2, 3. Okay, I guess 2 more times, yeah. 1, 2, 3. And this is going to be the last. Okay, smile everyone. Okay, thank you so much. Back to Pak Arif.
Okay, well, thank you, Mania, for this photo session. So, we would like pretty much to say very much thank you to Dr. Mary Rosik, Bu Sophie for the opening speech, and also Pak Jerry as a moderator, and for all the attendants today. We would like to have a very really deep thank you for all of us here for your participation in this session. And maybe just to have a certain heads up on this, on Saturday we also going to have a data science related webinar as well. So stay tuned. Well, thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you,
That's
Mary.
wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Regards
Thank
to
you,
the
Dr.
friends
Jerry.
in Singapore.
Thank you. See you
Thank you,
next
thank
time.
you, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Very nice to meet you, everybody. Thank you.
Nice to meet you, Mary. Bye-bye. Thank you, everybody.
You're welcome.